Welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious, Laura. It's really good to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's really good to be here as well. I'm very excited.
Yes, so are we. All the way from Spain you are, aren't you?
All the way from Spain,
Yeah.
originally from New York, so even further, but now in Spain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super.
fantastic. So you are nearer to us than you were.
Yeah.
I am.
So, Laura, how did you come to realise that you were in perimenopause?
Well, I think the typical first signs where you stop getting your period sort of every 4 weeks and it goes to every 6 weeks and then every 8 weeks and then every 3 months. It's quite a natural progression, I think. And then I thought I was super lucky. I got to month 11.
Mm,
You were about to
Month
be
11. Yeah, month 11, and I thought this is brilliant because I wasn't really having like too many like major symptoms of like the typical. I know there are tons of symptoms, but like the typical hot flashes and all of that. And so I thought I was getting off like scot free, and then all of a sudden, month 11, here we go again. But then it stopped again. So I think I got it for like 2 months, and then it's now stopped again for, I don't know, another 5 months. So yeah, we're kind of there.
just really irregular at the moment.
no man's land.
Yeah. Just waiting for that
Yeah.
12th month and hoping that it stays that way. So you've not really had any other symptoms then, Laura? You've just been, is it just been your period?
Well, I mean, when I say I haven't had any symptoms, I mean, I thought like the memory loss thing, I was like really, when you're sort of in the middle of a thought process and you're thinking about something and all of a sudden it just starts to kind of like fade
Yeah.
and I can feel it fading and I'm like, no, 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 like, wait, wait, don't go.
Yeah.
And it's just gone, and I'll be completely honest with you. I had attributed that to drinking wine. And
Okay.
then
Yeah.
I quit drinking because it was affecting me and it does still affect me in a way that's like just not good. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to eliminate one of the factors, eliminate and see what happens. And so yeah, I didn't have all of the other side effects of drinking wine, but I still had the memory loss. So I was like, okay, well, it's not the wine.
Yeah.
It's not the wine, but it's definitely affected how my body processes alcohol.
Mm.
Um, and because I went for about a year without nothing, 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 nothing. And then it kind of slowly started creeping back in a little bit. And it affects me in a way that it never used to affect me. It affects my sleep. It affects like the brain fog is like even really worse the next day. So yeah, so I would definitely say brain fog. Can't drink alcohol anymore, really. And that's kind of, yeah, the memory, the brain fog, kind of it. I don't know if you would ask like my daughters if my emotions are like this, but they're kind of like that all the time anyway. As women, we're kind of up and down, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's really hard, isn't it? Because we go through periods and for so long and we're up and down so much during that time. So then when we come to this,
Hmm.
it feels like we get a double whammy.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
double, triple.
But
Double,
like,
triple, quadruple.
I
yeah,
know.
And now like this year, and I think this is, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to know when there's so many factors going on, like
yeah,
what you can attribute it to. This year is the first year I'm working from home. And so I've noticed like the scale, not even the scale because I don't weigh myself, but just my clothes aren't fitting the way that they used to. And even though I've got a spinning bike here, like I'm just not like I went from full-time teaching, which is like you're just nonstop, like all
yeah,
day, nonstop. Not, and now I'm just here in front of a screen, like trying to like schedule in exercise breaks, but it's just not the same. It's
yeah,
not the same as like going, 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 going. I used to reach 10,000 steps by lunchtime.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and now there are days where I don't reach 10,000 steps at all. So, I don't know if that's part of it or, sometimes it's really hard to tell.
Mm. So have you noticed then in the last year with that change in your job role, Laura, have you noticed that the brain fog has eased? Is it worse? Has it made any difference whatsoever?
Well, again, I transitioned like pretty big time from one area to another. So I'm learning as I'm going and as I'm doing things. And so do I feel like I'm learning and like retaining as quickly as I used to? Probably not.
Mm.
But I am a lifelong learner and a big believer in growth
Yeah,
mindset. So
absolutely.
that does support it supports my learning because it's something that I really enjoy doing. So yeah, I think I noticed that I definitely don't retain as much information
Yeah,
or
yeah.
as easily or even understand. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Was out with my daughters recently and something was happening with a cookie and I looked at this cookie and I was like, I just don't understand this cookie. And
Was it talking to you?
I I don't know what was happening, but it's now become like like a running joke, like in the family between me and my daughters. Like even in like other circumstances, one of them will look at they make fun of me, which is fine.
Yeah, don't they
They
Yeah.
just?
look at each other and they go, I just don't understand this cookie.
I love that. But I
Yeah.
find that as well. I went to a car park with my son, and it was
Mhm.
and I was just looking at this machine trying to work out how I get into the car park. And
Mhm.
it got all these instructions on. I was trying to read the instructions, but it wasn't making sense. And he just looked at me as if to say, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because I'm getting older. It's like
Mhm.
life is getting a little bit more technological now.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
there's so many contributing
Factors.
factors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or could it be the fact that you'd had one of those days where it's just been loads and loads of stuff on, and our brains are just constantly
Yes.
busy, aren't they? Because we're
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah.
work and we're thinking about the kids and we're thinking about we've got to do this and that bill needs paying and
Yeah.
I've got to put
Mhm.
that in. The car needs its MOT, and so
Yeah.
sometimes, what is this cookie and
Yeah. Well,
how do I get to this car park? I feel you. My brain fog is that bad this morning that I can't even give you an example, but I know there are loads.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really
Adulting is hard, but some days it's easier and some days it's not.
yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason sometimes because you can have the same car park situation or the same cookie on a Tuesday and then the same thing on a Wednesday, and like your reaction to it is
Totally different.
completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. I said to Lee this morning when I saw her, I said, I feel like I've got on a roller coaster, but the person who's supposed to put my seatbelt on has forgot to do it. And
yeah,
it's just kind of like,
100%.
there's so many different things that I feel today that I've got to remember, but
Mhm.
my brain just doesn't feel on it today.
Yeah, yeah, I have a lot of days like
Yeah.
that. More days like that than I don't.
Yeah.
Than not, right? Well, I've got a running list over here that I just keep adding to, crossing off. And sometimes I'm like, I'll kind of just sit for a moment. I'll be like, right, what am I meant to be doing? And I have to look at the
Yes.
list. And
Yes,
and I go,
absolutely.
oh yeah, there it is. And like, and prioritizing what needs to get done today, what could wait till tomorrow, what am I just gonna completely forget about because I put too much on there in the first place. And yeah, so it's a constant juggling and adding and crossing off of and consulting the list.
Yeah, but I mean, but it kind of works for us a little bit, doesn't it? I insist at work. I'm probably the only one, but I have a big A4 old school diary because so I
Hmm.
can do exactly that. I just write in all the jobs that I need to do, and I've got another one at home. Ta-da! Exactly that, and it just means that as soon as you remember it and go, "Oh my God, that should have been done," or "that needs doing,"
Yeah.
there's a deadline, then I can bang it on that list. And yeah, I never used to be a list maker because I used to just remember everything, but
Hmm.
now, yeah.
I wonder if that's the problem though. Like we do spend so much time remembering everything, but for everyone, like for the kids as well. And the kids have got all their stuff that you need to remember, and it's just like it takes up space. It's
Yeah, it takes
like
up a lot of space.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of space in my brain, and my brain just hasn't got the space for it now.
No, I saw a little
Yeah.
video doing the rounds on socials. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it was this woman walking around her house
I've seen
saying,
it.
"Did you see it? If everybody could hear my internal dialogue," and she's like walking along, picking up washing. "I need to pick that washing up. Don't forget to put the dog in at the vet. So I've got to go to the house. Oh, so and so's got to get to school early. I've got the after school meeting. There's the parents' evening. Don't forget to go and see your mum and dad. Oh, you've got to pick that shopping up. Shit, we're out of bread." And it was just like this constant dialogue, and I was like, "Yeah, totally."
Yeah.
And
It's
yet the
running.
house are like, "Oh, what? Oh, right, yeah, got to get up, got to make my packed lunch. Oh, yeah, I've got to go work." And it's like, and I'm like, oh my God, my brain is just like.
We've started this new thing in our house. I started this new thing in our house where I've got a shopping list now that just stays on the side. And if anybody wants anything,
I've started doing that. I didn't even talk about that.
Nice.
Booyah! Fed up of guessing.
so literally everyone now knows if it's not on the list, they're not getting it because I have no capacity to do anything.
That's brilliant.
So if it's on the
funny.
list, I will get it for you, but you have to tell me I am not psychic. And that seems to be working really well.
Yeah, it does.
That's a good strategy. Yeah, because you can't be expected to know everything, do everything, be everything all the time. And then when you come back from the shopping and someone goes, "Where's the Marmite?" And you're like, "Not on the list." Not on the list.
That's it. That's it exactly. And it also then it takes that one thing out of my brain that I haven't got to remember because I know it's all on the list.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea.
But little things like that, it's finding little things that work like that, little tools, isn't it?
It is, and recognising the things that probably do frustrate you more than the things that don't. For example, I think yesterday morning I came downstairs and there was just loads and loads of washing up, but it was in the sink and it was on all the worktops, and I had to make my packed lunch for my youngest. So before you can even make the packed lunch, you've got to do the washing up so that you can get to the sink to be able to wash his box up from the day before and then clear the space. And I'd gone to bed early the night before, and I thought, because I was shattered, and I thought, I kind of switched off and thought, it'll probably be done in the morning. I don't know why I thought that. That was ridiculous. But I realised then when I went down yesterday morning and it wasn't done, I had the raging arse. I don't know if anybody else felt it. I'm sure they would have felt it.
I felt it from here.
I just felt so grumpy because I had to, and I was in a rush anyway, But it's just that never-ending list, isn't it?
I think sometimes what I'm trying to work on myself at the moment is picking my battles with things that what is in a month, even in a week, will this be important? In a month, will this matter? So my kids have had exams this week and their rooms are, I can't even. So I just close the door and I don't look, because if I look, it triggers me, because I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, this is such a mess. There's clothes everywhere. And I don't have any clothes. It's like, yes, you do, because I'm looking at them all on your floor, all over the floor. And so, and then there's been this pile in the corner on the table from a project that everything got thrown out, brought out onto the table. They're masters at taking things out and, novices at putting things away. And so I'm looking at this thing on the corner and I'm like, okay, I have two choices here. All this stuff on the corner. I'm like, I can react. I can say for the bazillionth time this week, can you please put that stuff away? And now I don't even know if I would say please now, because I've said it 500 times. And I can get, or, I can, so I can either say, can you put that away? And I can get annoyed and I can get angry and I can get upset. Or I can just leave it there. I know. Until the weekend. When exams are finished today. And I even said last night, I said, look, I've been very patient all week. And I know that you're both very, you're just full and you can't fit anything else in your brains. So just let's make sure, Saturday morning we do a tidy up, because this house is looking pretty rough, and I'm not going to do it. They're 12 and 16. I'm not doing it anymore. When they were little, I would have done it. But I think sometimes it's is it worth it, me getting upset over something is it really that big a deal? If they're 25 and they still have clothes on the floor, that will be their problem, not mine anymore. Because they won't be living here anymore.
Wow, that's what we know.
Hopefully. Am I deluding myself?
How was that received, Laura, when you set those expectations and those boundaries? How was that received by you girls?
It's always received well, but then the next step of the action is where, they recognize, they know, they know, they're not, they're smart kids, and they know what's happening, and they're pretty switched on. But it's just sometimes you get to the point where you're like, if I don't shout, they don't react, and it's like, I don't want to shout. I don't
No,
want
no,
to.
I
That's not who I am. But then, this is a calm week. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have seen that stuff on the table and, lost my biscuits.
Yeah.
And, and been all over the place. So I don't know, it's like it's a question of like self-regulation sometimes, and like sometimes you can self-regulate, sometimes you just really can't.
It's just
Yeah,
one more
exactly
thing
it.
on top of one more thing, isn't it? When you're at
Yeah.
that, when you feel resourced, you're okay. But when you
Yes.
don't, it's like it just only you're teetering on the edge.
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things to remember
Yeah.
and to do. Yeah. And
And then the slightest thing can just, tip you over, just the tiniest little thing, and then you look back and you're like, was at that level of reaction, was that really really necessary?
Yeah.
And then you go down the rabbit hole of feeling bad, I'm a bad mother, and this and that, and da, 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 and all the things, and then I just have to go, right, okay, practice what you preach, practice self-compassion, you're doing your best. Again, just a little bit of perspective. In a month from now, is this really going to be important? But it's just like exhausting
it is
sometimes,
exhausting.
Yeah.
It is.
having to like regulate all the time and look for these resources to help you and stay calm, and then when you lose it, repairing again, and it's just like, oh God, I just want to sit on the beach with a cocktail.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of resources are you leaning into, Laura, that are supporting you at this time?
Yeah, so a lot of meditation and a lot of mindfulness practice, both formal and informal. I'm doing a huge deep dive into positive psychology and character strengths, and so all of that are things that I kind of reach for, doing yoga nidra throughout the day, doing mini body scans and just checking in. Self-compassion is huge for me because I think we're very hard on ourselves, women
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
And I just think, well, look, if I were speaking to a best friend and she was telling me the same story that I'm going through, like, what would I be saying? Would I be saying all the horrible things that I'm saying to myself? No, of course I wouldn't. I would never. So, my motto, and something I say a lot, is, treat yourself like you would treat your own best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forget that sometimes. And so you have to kind of
You do.
reel it in,
Yeah.
really reel it in, and just check check your inner dialogue, check what's happening in your body. I'm really into like micro moments, because I think a lot of times when people think about mindfulness, because it's such a buzzword, and like, that means I've got to be sitting in front of a cushion and emptying my mind. And it's not about that at all. It's about awareness. And awareness can come in lots of shapes and sizes. And it doesn't mean sitting on a cushion going, it's not about that, can be part of it. But it's not about that. So I'm a real fan of micro moments throughout the day that keep your baseline here. And so when you're, at a good level, so when you go up here, you can come back here pretty quickly. Or when you go down, when you're feeling down, and low, and sad, and depressed, and those things, like, you have skills that can bring you back up to your status quo
Yeah.
more easily. So it's about practicing those things when you're calm, so that when you're not calm, you have the resources already like integrated.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It
100%.
absolutely makes
It
sense,
really
and
does.
I really subscribe to that as
Yeah,
well, Laura.
yeah.
I really try and do that, and that whole like listening more to what is actually going on right now. What is this feeling? Okay, what is it I'm needing right now?
Exactly. You said it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then going from there really, and doing something about it that way. But it really, it's been, I don't know if it's fairly new for me really, but really checking in and going, being curious as to what's going on with me, and like, why am I feeling like this? What is causing this? What can I do about this? Da, 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 da. And it makes me feel like I've got a little bit more control about what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause, you know, you can also, when you pick it apart as well, you can kind of fathom how it got to that point, how you reached that point. Like me losing my shit yesterday. I say I lost my shit. No one else, I don't think, knew, because nobody. It was just inside. I felt really grumpy. But I did sit and think about that yesterday, and I even had a chat with one of my sons about it. He was asleep, so he didn't even know that I felt grumpy because I'd gone to work before he got up. And we were just talking and just talking it through. We were kind of talking about why it had come about, and it was my expectations. So my expectations weren't met. Why were they not met? Well, because I was expecting it to be a certain way and it wasn't. Maybe I just need to communicate that frustration to the rest of the family, that, you know, I'd really appreciate if this happened. I've got a lot of things going on at the moment. So, and so I think just taking each thing apart,
Absolutely.
and talking it through.
How lovely that you had that conversation with one of your boys as well.
Yeah. And he got it, and he was like that. Yeah, I totally understand.
He was receptive to it.
Yeah. So
Awareness, again, it's going back to, I think it all boils down to awareness and just knowing what's going on for you, which is not, it's not always easy, you know, and I think expectations are really important, and then accepting is also really important. Like, you know, I recently had a bit of a streak of something quite challenging going on in my life, and like I realized, because I was really having a freak out about it, and it was like a long one. It was like over a couple of weeks, and I was like, okay, Laura, what is happening? You have got to get a grip. Like, this is not sustainable, the way I'm feeling and the way I'm, you know, just the way I was feeling. And I said, okay, I think what's really happening here is you are not accepting the situation for what it is. And, you know, what we resist persists. And if you're just going against the grain, like, this shouldn't be this way, and why, and then, you know, and I was like, all right, listen, this is what's happening. How can we go forward and act wisely from here? And as soon as I was able to make that shift, you know, it was just like, okay, now what? Now what do we do? But I think we spend a lot of time in just like going against the grain and really resisting. And when you're dealing with all the hormones and the not sleeping and the this and the that and the lists and the cookies and I don't understand.
It's enough to drive you bonkers, right?
It is enough to drive you bonkers. It really is. But, you know, when you can kind of just take a step back and go, right, okay, let's regroup here and just figure out a plan. Sometimes you're able to do that, and sometimes you're not.
And it's accepting when you can and when you can't as well, isn't it? Like, and building up those resources and building up the friendships, and like, you know, I had a moment this week where I felt like there was so much for me to try and process, and I just didn't know where to go with it or what to do with it. And so I sat with it, and I just wrote everything out, which helped me process. I realised that helps me process things, because I didn't know where else to go with what I was dealing with, and it was just it was really, really difficult. So I just wrote loads of stuff, and I was like, oh, I need to, you know, get in touch with somebody and whatever. But actually, by the time I'd finished writing, and then I'd tweaked it, and then I'd processed, and it was like, oh, okay, that feels better. So, you know, I've realised quite quickly that writing things down has helped me enormously, and journaling does help me as well, but just more for processing. But it's finding that thing that works for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a healthy thing. Like, not a bar of chocolate and a bottle of wine.
Although sometimes that does work.
Sometimes that does work. You know, to your point about writing, I sometimes, when I'm like really in the shit, you know, I write like an FU letter to the universe, you know, and I just really just be like, you know, damn you, universe, why are you doing just go off, because it's just all these things I just want to get out.
Yes.
And that you sort of like going down that feeling sorry for yourself, or why me, or what's happening, or and that's no way to, it's not productive. It's not moving the needle forward in any way, shape, or form, because you're not acting from a place of care for yourself and of like really reasoning. So if I can get all those thoughts that are in there
Yes.
and get them out, make space for like the really healthy thoughts,
Yeah.
and just like blame it on somebody, because sometimes you just need a scapegoat. You need to like outsource your anger and just go like, get it all out. All the things that you feel like you really shouldn't be feeling or saying, but you have a right to feel and say, but you don't really want to
Yes.
offload that onto someone else. Get it all out, crumble it up, and just throw it out into the
Yeah.
bin. And that's it. And it does. So I definitely, I can, I understand what you're saying. I feel that really is very helpful as well. Just like, F you,
Also,
universe.
there's this historical thing about as women, we're not really supposed to be angry. And I think
Mhm.
that really, I'm still working through that, and about how I've been angry over the years and how I've dampened it down, because
Mhm.
in society, generally, as women, we're not supposed. So I think that's one of the reasons why we get to this stage and we're like, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
going to be angry. I'm going to be myself, and
I feel a grumpy feather,
yeah.
so I'm going to be one.
Mhm.
I think even one of the boys that was saying to me, we were talking, and I said, you were always so calm and chilled and everything all the way through growing up. And so now it's like sometimes if you ever, because I'm grumpy when I get arsey, I keep it very much in myself. I
Mhm.
might like crash around the kitchen as I'm putting things away, but I don't kind of go, what the bloody hell's that doing there? I just keep it all in. But I'm sure everyone can sniff
Oh
it
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. People know.
They know,
Yeah.
They can
they
feel the energy,
know.
right?
Yeah, and I don't think I didn't feel it much when I was younger, and bringing the kids up. But now I do feel a bit more like, oh my God, why have you left this out? Why are you doing this? Why isn't, But I do think it's like that. There's that whole thing isn't about this positivity where we've got to feel like we're positive all the time. But I really feel like we need to have these moments where we go, oh, for fuck's sake, or, to get that
Mhm.
full human experience and to get that like balance. Because I think I sort of thought about life a lot in the sense of, right, I'm gonna try and stay centered and be positive and be grateful and da 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 da. But
Mhm.
but that was exhausting, because trying to suppress when you are feeling grumpy or cross or angry with something,
Mhm.
out in the world, um, you're kind of not being true to yourself, are you?
No, you're not. And then there's a way of like dealing with that, and it's going
Yeah.
back to what
Yeah,
we were
and
just
then going back
saying,
into what you've done,
what
working out what it
what it
was.
is
Yeah.
that's caused
Yeah.
that. And actually, just by saying, before I go out, can you wash those pots for me, because I'm going to come, and
Yes.
it's that kind of
Yes, it
thing.
is,
And then
yeah.
that all of a sudden it's gone because
Yeah.
you voiced what it is that was going to annoy you
Yeah.
in the long term.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because they say it's about the small things. It's always the little
Mhm.
things that become
Yeah.
big things. And it really is, isn't it? It's
The
very
socks on the floor again, or the yeah, my daughter takes a shower and she leaves her clothes on the floor in the bathroom
yeah, same.
every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And then, for a while I was just like really losing it when I saw the clothes on the floor again, because she's 12 and a half, she'll be 13 in the summer, and I'm just like, come on, and I just thought, well, again, I'm gonna pick my battles. I just
Yeah,
say, hey,
absolutely.
could you just pick your clothes up off the floor? And that's it.
Yeah.
Is it the end of the world that the clothes are on the floor in the bathroom? Is it,
No.
I it's not. It's not the end of the world. It's really not. And I also try and think like they're good kids. It could
Absolutely.
be
This is
it could
exactly what
be
yeah.
so much
Oh
worse.
my
They're
God, it could. Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
They're kind kids. They're good to each other. They're good to me. They're good friends to their friends. And like, really, is it worth losing it because the clothes are on the floor? So I've just one of those things that I've just, speaking of lists, I've crossed that off my list of things that I'm
Yeah.
going to get angry about.
Yeah.
I've just said it's just not worth it. Again, at some point, she'll stop doing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's it.
No, it's true.
Or she won't. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. And it's like the conversation I was having with my son. He said, Mum, why don't you try, and I know it'll be really hard, but why don't you really try to not do any of the things in the house and just see how that then affects everyone else?
Uh-huh.
It's like, I would really I would love to try it, but I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
I don't think it
It's an interesting experiment.
you.
No, I think
I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think it affects us far more than it affects anybody else. Like, I know
Yeah.
that except my daughter recognises when things, because I don't know if it's a female thing, but yeah, the boys will just not recognise if something's not been done.
Yeah.
It won't be a thing because it doesn't matter to them at all.
No, well, I'm screwed then, aren't I? 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
a house
You
full
know
of
what I
men.
Yeah.
And the dog's a girl, but she's not going to clean up her own poo, is she?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of that as an experiment, but I think you're right. I think they just don't, it's just not on their radar. They don't have the same ideas of what's clean and what's important and why sometimes I'll have a freak out and my daughter will look at me like, what is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
why are like, what is the big deal? I'm like, what do you mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Do you think that it's something to do with the fact that we see the consequences because we've had to look after the children, from a
Yes,
young age,
yeah.
and we can see the consequences of, like, if they don't have a nap at that time, then they won't have had their dinner by that time, and then they won't be in time for the nap, and we see that like linear path.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost like a bit of a superpower, but also a bit
Pain.
of an issue, because it's almost like I can see if that doesn't get done, then that's going to happen, and then that's going to happen.
It's a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was here visiting from New York at Christmas time, and she's in her 80s. She's 81. And we went to take my daughter, the one who leaves her clothes on the floor. Well, they both do. We took her to boxing. So it was like, oh, let's take, they call her Mima. So let's take Mima to see where you go boxing. It's down the street. And we went and I wanted to take a picture. And my daughter was like, no, she was mortified that I wanted to take a picture. And then she just wanted to go with her friends. And then I got annoyed because my mom I only see her like once a year. And so there's like this, there's kind of this pressure for everything to be going perfectly and for everybody to be smiling, which we know it just doesn't happen. But she made the effort to come here, which is at her age is a huge thing. And I just really wanted, in fact, the girls had been going through this phase of like months of really being horrible to each other. And right before my mom came, I threatened them with death. I said, listen, you don't get your act together for when Mima's here. If you behave like this when my mother is here and I only see her like once a year, there will be long-term consequences. And I'm not joking. Because I'm not a punisher, I'm not a grounder, I'm not like go to your room. It's just not my thing. But I said, if you mess this up for me and for your grandmother, my mother, like, I'm really going to be really upset. And I think they must have seen something in my eyes or my tone. Fear, I guess it was like psycho mom coming out
With the horns.
yeah, and like they were amazing, and something shifted because they haven't gone back down that road of like being horrible to each other. So I don't know if they just saw that they can be nice to each other, and they're like, wow, this is much better.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to say anything because I'm like, if I jinx it, and then they go back because it was so just like I'm just gonna leave it till they're 21. And so and going back to the boxing story, so I was upset because, and I was like, why didn't you and I had a word with her when we got home because I was like, why didn't you let me take a picture? And my mom was like, Laura, I think you're forgetting what it's like to be 12 because you would have done the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And, I said, thank you so much for saying that because I think you're right. I think we forget. You're so in the moment, the role of being mother and the role of making sure everything goes okay and everything is running smoothly. And that, like you were saying, the knock-on effect, if this doesn't happen, then that won't happen. And we go through the, into the future that doesn't exist of all the possible things that could go wrong and how my life is going to be ruined. And, we just go down this rabbit hole. And I just said, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that because it put perspective on things. And I was like, you're right. And then my daughter felt really bad. I'm so sorry, I messed it up. And I'm like, no, 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 you're okay. It's fine. Don't worry. It's good. We're all good.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, perspective.
And I also wonder to some degree if your daughters have also learned how when you show up different, things are different. You know, that like going back to that positive psychology thing that you were talking about earlier, you know, if you sometimes there's little shifts, if you show up differently, then you get a different reaction. And then
Oh,
actually
100%.
really, really nice. And I love what your mum did there. It was just be present, isn't it? It's be in the present moment, because actually what we do often, I know that I have to stop myself from doing that whole, well, if this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. Then actually just being present, and that is actually really quite difficult.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
just
Yeah.
to be in the present moment and just enjoy what this is right now, this moment. I feel like we kind of get a bit of that on the podcast.
Yes,
'cause
yeah, we do.
We really do get to be in the moment in the podcast. But when you do
You have to be.
live,
You have to be.
yeah, but when you're doing life, it gets quite difficult, doesn't it?
Oh,
Well, it's unfortunate because we're like multitasking all the time and being present. I mean, what you said before about how you show up, when you're present with people, the engagement level that you get from them is so much, it's higher and it's more quality than if we're on the phone and we're thinking about this and we're doing that and we're typing on here and yeah. And then, and that's it, it happens a lot. So I'm trying to get in the habit, since I work from home and the girls come home from school, they'll come in and talk to me and I'll just say, let me, put the full stop at the end of the sentence, and then I will turn to you and give you my full attention. And instead of doing this because it's just, nobody wants that. Because when someone does it to me, you can tell when someone's not paying attention to you.
Yes.
100%. And they're giving you the yeah, and they're on the phone, or they're, even if you're doing the dishes and you're thinking about tomorrow and you've got to do this and that, and did I remember? And you're not really present and not practicing conscious listening. So I tell you something, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had this conversation at all because I didn't know what any of this was. And now, I'm practicing it, and I realize sometimes, like, I'm not listening. Okay, listen.
Yes.
And before, I didn't even know I wasn't listening.
No.
So now at least I know I'm not listening, and I'm aware, and I can just keep coming back again and again and just being aware, okay, someone's talking to you and you're not actually listening to them. Stop, come back, and do that about 5,000 times a day.
Yeah.
Yes,
it is. It's a practice, isn't it? You have to keep practicing and keep bringing yourself back in.
Yeah, you do.
Much like meditation. You feel yourself wandering off. You have to bring yourself back in.
Yeah, because you can feel it, can't you? Because it's exactly the same situation. If I'm sitting at home in the office doing a little bit of work for whatever it is, and the boys will come and talk to me, exactly the same, and I can feel it, and I can feel that. I feel then the mother guilt, I'm not listening properly because I'm halfway through a sentence, and and I do the same as you now. I will say, right, just give me 2 minutes. I just need to wrap this bit up, get these thoughts on paper, and then I'm all yours. And then I have to consciously take myself out of the office, and I'll go and sit in the kitchen or the living room and sit and talk to them. I mean, it doesn't always go like that. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll just carry on because, it's children and they want to talk to you. So you're kind of like, okay, I'm just going to have to park that. Please stay in my brain.
Yeah, please stay there. Please stay. Yeah. And then I've explained to them, because sometimes people say, like, you should just stop what you're doing in the moment. Just stop, and I'm like, okay, in a perfect world, I would be able to just stop sometimes I do. I just stop. And especially when, someone comes in and they're crying because it's 11 o'clock at night and they have to hand something in by midnight, and they're like, then it's obviously stop, because it's a crisis situation for them. And you need to just stop. And that happened the other day. One of my daughters came in, she had to hand something in, and I could see the stress on her face. And I said, why didn't you come in sooner? I could have helped you. I was trying to figure it out on my own. And I said, look, I really respect that, but you're on the deadline here. You've got like 37 minutes to hand this in, and it's late. You need to be in bed. And I stopped, went, I helped her. We sorted it out. And she said, thank you so much for not getting angry at me. And I said, God, do I get angry that much that you have to think? But I practice with her a lot of,
Yeah.
mindfulness, and it's part of our kind of dialogue. And she was really grateful. I put her to bed and she said, I really appreciate that you didn't get angry with me. And I said, look, how would that have helped the situation, me getting angry at 11 o'clock at night? That's, I said, I'm not happy that you didn't manage your time. And we'll talk about that tomorrow, about time management and how you could have handled that situation better, starting earlier and all that kind of stuff. But really getting angry at that point at 11:30, like who needs it?
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
That's a really great, it's a sort of like a really great teacher to your kids. Do you know what I mean? That like your kids are sort of growing up with this as their norm. You sort of like not, okay, we all blow off the handle at times from time to
Oh
time.
yeah, for sure.
Having those conversations as well as where you're talking to them because we see it, don't we? Like the 11 o'clock thing. There's absolutely no point getting grumpy with them at 11 o'clock.
And going back to what your mum said, I did that at that age.
Exactly.
I was that person.
Yeah.
My kids are
Everything at the last
so
minute.
much easier than
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
They're so much easier than I ever was. And,
Yeah.
it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we don't get a book with any of it, do we, Laura?
No.
Just got to make it up as we go along.
Make it up, yeah. And it's like people have been doing it for thousands of years, so there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't, and we're probably all doing a much better job than we think we are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you only have to look at the kids, right?
Yeah, like we all know that we've got good kids.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly proud of mine.
Yeah.
And
Same
so we
here.
are doing something right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But are yours 25 and still living at home? Because you're scaring me now.
Mine are 22, 21 and 16. They're all at home.
Right, yeah.
My 24-year-old is just moving out. Yes.
Oh, and how do you feel about that? Are you feeling sad? Or like, yay, space?
No, there's an element, because I miss our conversations. So I'm just trying to make sure that I do get those conversation times in other ways. Like we went out for breakfast the other day. But yeah, it feels weird. I think I'm still trying to process it, but I'm so happy that he's so happy.
Yeah.
So then that makes
Yeah.
all the difference.
Yeah.
He's in a good place, so I'm in a good place because of that.
Yeah.
So it's it's odd. It's weird because I still look at him like my little 5-year-old boy, and now he's a man, and
He's a grown man. I sometimes, in mid-conversation with my oldest daughter, who's 16, she kind of went off the rails there for a little bit, but she came back, and it was very brief, and I was like, phew, because I thought that was it. I thought I'd lost her for a while. But she came back, and she's a very good listener. And I'm going through, a big transition this year, and she says to me sometimes, like, you should just tell me when the mud has hit the fan, or you're sitting in the mud, or And I think, like, yeah, but I don't want to offload that on you because I'm a single mom, and there isn't another adult in the house, and sometimes you worry about how much you share with them.
Yeah.
Like, because you just don't have another adult, and it's like I've been home by myself all day. They get home, and I'm like, oh, person.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me. And they want to come home and go to their rooms and decompress because they've been around socializing and noise and everything all day. So I have to give them time to decompress. I've learned to do that. And then I go in and we talk. And sometimes I will, in the middle of a conversation, I'll actually get upset thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to leave soon. She's 16. I still have time.
Yes.
But just I know how fast things are going. And I know that like she's going to turn around. I left at 21 and didn't go back really. I left country at 21, and and so I'm just like, But here in Spain, socially, like people stay at home much longer, and I think that given the current economic situation just worldwide, I think kids are staying home longer, and I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really tricky, like going through when they do. But if
really
they're happy,
difficult
then you're happy for them. But it must be a funny.
But also, it's very difficult out there, like you were just saying, in the economic way with
Yeah.
actually being able to afford to buy somewhere.
Well, it's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the rentals for like a little sort of 2-bed terrace with a little backyard, you're looking at about £1,300 a month here in the UK. And
Yeah.
it's, how they're supposed to do that when, I look at some of the wages and I just think to myself, they haven't gone up hugely since
No.
I bought a house for
Yeah.
about 50 grand, like 20 odd years ago. My salary hasn't massively
Same.
increased, which is crazy. It's crazy.
No, it is, and it's very stressful because it's like just worrying about money all the time, and like like you said, everything. Spain used to be a really affordable place to
Yeah,
live,
yeah.
and it's not,
No.
and it's not at all, and like because the salaries are they've just. I look at the jobs and I'm going, who could live? That's like that is my mortgage. That salary
Yes,
month.
yes.
And then what? What do you've paid the mortgage? Okay, you're not out on the street, but then you can't pay the heating, you can't pay the school and the this and that, all the things. And so it's the same here. Like salaries have just frozen and
Yeah.
everything else is going
It's done.
through the roof. So I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's not getting any better at the current situation. Petrol prices are just through the roof and everything is crazy. But somehow we all seem to just roll on and make it work.
Yeah. You haven't really got much of a choice, I don't think.
No. No, you
These
haven't.
conversations add buoyancy to all of that, don't they?
Yeah.
Kind of have it chewing the fat and go like chatting with other sort of like-minded women and learn and like there's so many for all the struggle and that is out there, and we're lucky we've got the roofs over our heads and things like that. But there is also, I don't know if that this kind of time in life. There's so many gold nuggets out there and things that I don't know. We often say, is it because we say it, but I'm laughing at it because I think how. But like having a bit more time because the kid's getting older. That's why I'm laughing. So I'm thinking I've got less time now than I ever did. But maybe it's because even though I'm very busy, the majority of the things that I'm doing now is for me.
Yes.
And we're learning so much and doing this podcast. And chatting with like the like-minded women like you, Laura, and just we learned so much, and I think that helps to sort of like fill the happy cup, to kind of oh my god, that conversation was amazing, or taking on board something that somebody has said, like and just kind of learning from that, or looking into something a little bit more, and that has been a really nice thing for us, hasn't it? At this point,
I think it's finding it's understanding what it is you want to do.
It is,
isn't it? I feel like you're
finding your purpose.
It is finding the things that give you a bit of
meaning, purpose.
You almost don't have
all
choice, do you?
All of those things are
Yeah, it feels like
those things are important, and like the micro moments. You touched on something before about gratitude. Sometimes when I find myself in like this, proper grump, I'm just like, all right, hang on.
Yeah,
let's like feel your feet, like feel your body for a second, check in. You're good. The house isn't on fire. Like the sun is shining. I have this practice with my daughter where we, at the end of the day, not, every day, but a lot of days, we talk about, 3 good things that happen throughout the day, or 3 things that we're grateful for. So you're ending the day, scanning the day for the good things that happen, because it's so easy with negativity bias to just think and focus on all of the quote unquote bad things that happen. And it's really important to take a look, like really actively, consciously take a look. What happened throughout the day that was, really good? Or how did I help someone? Or how did someone help me? And just look at those things, because it is so easy to just get sucked into this went wrong, that didn't go how I had expected, or what I wanted, or this shouldn't be that way. And so I think it's really important to do that. If you can't do it through micro moments throughout the day, which is, I think, my goal is to do that more and more, at least at the end of the day, to reflect and end your day thinking, you know what, a lot of good happened today, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think that's important to go to bed with that sense of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, well, it sinks into your subconscious then, doesn't it? Because you're sleeping with that positive, those positive thoughts and things that have gone on in the day.
Yeah.
So it is
That's
important.
lovely, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it feels like a really nice way to wrap it up
it
and
does.
say I feel really grateful for this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
It's been really
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Really.
definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Laura.
It was a real pleasure. I'm so sad I can't be in the living room with you
I
there.
know.
Me too.
I think we're sadder that we can't be in your living
Yeah.
room. So I imagine it's a bit warm.
Right? You want to be over here. Well, you're more than welcome anytime. Anytime.
Okay.
I've got
I'm gonna
space. So
keep
if you
it
want to
that.
come to Madrid,
We're
you're
on
welcome.
about doing a travelling podcast next year.
I love that idea.
Get cheap flight.
So we might be in touch
fantastic.
again then, Laura.
Thank you ever so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Ciao. Adios.